Are UAD plugins that run on DSP worth it? To be honest, no, they're not, to be honest. Look, let's be kind of brutally honest with UAD here. 10 years ago, when computers were kind of not capable of achieving the kind of results that they can achieve now, they were very much essential. And I mean, I've been on UAD since UAD1, and I've got all the UAD plugins, and I use maybe a handful of them. But are they, DSPs, for me personally, DSP isn't essential in any way, shape or form. I feel for the people who have bought into the whole ecosystem of UAD, me being one of them. I never went down the interface route, but I have got a satellite, a quad card, an octo card, and they're not redundant. By no means are they redundant, because the one thing that is great about it is there are, like, obviously now there's a lot of native UAD versions, and I can't help feel that it's cheapened the brand a little bit. And that's just me personally, and how I feel when I instantly saw that they were native now, and it was just like, I understand it opens it up to everybody, but you can't now charge proper full whack for these plugins. As soon as you put them onto native, for me, as soon as you put them onto native, you're competing with companies like Plugin Alliance, which are going to blow you out of the water every single time in terms of pricing, because you literally cannot compete with their pricing. The thing with the UAD plugins, when they were just DSP, it was like, right, you had to go and get one of these UAD cards, because for me, the Ampex ATR 102 and the Little Labs VOG, for instance, these plugins are brilliant. They are, and the Lexicon 224, these plugins are incredible, and they are really, really good. Having them on the DSP chips is brilliant, and when it's the only way you can use these plugins is on the DSP chips, they have a lot of value. Both the DSP chips and the plugins have this lot of value, because believe me, there is no better tape simulator out there better than the Ampex ATR 102. It is incredible, and it is a brilliant plugin, and that for me is the one reason I'm still running lots of DSP, because that plugin alone isn't native. As soon as it becomes native, I'll run it native. Now, the kind of the problem with UAD is that, for the past 10 years or so, everybody, I mean, I've even said it a few times, is that the DSP plugins are better than the native, are better than the native plugins. And you had this kind of, we use superior plugins because we run them on DSP. And it turns out it's a load of rubbish. The native plugin is the same as the DSP. All it was a case of, we want to keep you in this ecosystem, so that you have to buy the DSP chips, which nowadays are outdated. It's not required. I don't think. I think UAD had to go down the route of releasing native, because they were I felt that they were getting left behind a little bit in the kind of plugin world, because let's face it, Plugin Alliance, when Dirk was at UAD and developing lots of plugins at UAD, I mean, UAD was brilliant then. They were innovative and new and fresh, and there was all this great stuff coming out. Since Dirk left and started Plugin Alliance, UAD's just literally, just because it's not innovative, it's not new, there's nothing exciting. Every announcement you go, ooh, what are UAD gonna do? Comes around to NAMM, pedals, and it's such a letdown. It's so deflating to anybody who is on the UAD platform, it is so kind of deflating to watch and see such something that was so brilliant just gradually become really not brilliant to just put it bluntly. And this video is not about bashing UAD. It's directed at how important is DSP now. It's not. It's really not. In terms of a satellite card, let's say for instance a satellite box, or a PCIe card. Those in themselves are just basically additional power for your computer to run these plugins. Now that they've become native, they are basically redundant. When UAD release everything native, those boxes are redundant. You're never going to want to buy one again, because let's face it, look, you pay £1,000 for an Octo card, you could, you know, a better chip in a computer is the equivalent to probably 5 or 6 Octo cards, you know. So it's the DSP chips in themselves aren't the future. I don't look, to be honest, I don't see much coming out that UAD are going to do that I'm going to be like, oh wow, I've got to get that plugin. I haven't been like that for probably about 4 or 5 years. I've not got excited about a UAD plugin for a long time. Whereas Plugin Alliance plugins, you know, everything that comes out, it's like, wow, what an emulation. So yeah, this kind of question's taken a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's relevant. I don't honestly think that DSP is important. As soon as UAD put all, and I think they know this, as soon as UAD put all of those plugins native, that means that those boxes are redundant. That's not to say that the Apollo interfaces aren't redundant, because they've got zero latency tracking with the plugins and things like that, which makes them good. The one thing I do think UAD have done well is that they've said, look, if you buy it native, you get it DSP. If you buy it DSP, you get it native. I don't know if it's the other way around. If you buy it native, you get it DSP. But if you buy a DSP version, you get the native version as well. And I think they've done right to us as consumers there. I do think that that is how it should have been. And I'm glad of that, because, you know, I don't want to get a subscription to UAD, because the subscription's rubbish. The subscription's not good at all. You can pay the same amount of money at Plugin Alliance and get all of the plugins, in comparison to like 20 plugins on a subscription. And they're not, you know, the Plugin Alliance plugins are in some ways better. So yeah, I mean, that's a different video. But I don't honestly think that the DSP is here to stay for very much longer. I think it's here to stay for the tracking purposes and the zero latency, but it's not here to stay when it comes to computing power. If you've already got them, right, don't go rushing out to sell them, because like I've got lots of DSP power here. Don't just sell them because, you know, you feel that you don't need them anymore. You do need them. Like, if you've got them, they're great to have. Because anything that offloads some sort of power, offloads the CPU onto dedicated DSP chips, is going to be good. You know, it's beneficial to have, to offload anything off of your CPU, off your computer. But I wouldn't personally be rushing out to go and buy satellite boxes or UAD PCIe cards right now, because as soon as all those plugins go native, then, you know, you might as well be using them on your computer, because they honestly don't take up that much CPU power. They really don't. And there's no superiority with regards to a UAD DSP plugin compared to a native plugin. They're the same, basically the same.